Hello, dear friends. The original text of this relation is gibberish that I have tried to simplify. Opinion piece: Battle of Armageddon, Lifting the Veil, Perverse Polarization, Fulfill Your Life Mission, Cleansing of Consciousness. It's not a conventional war. The process has already begun. Earth has crossed the threshold. Final struggle between good and evil. Liberation of collective consciousness. The bridge has been crossed and there is no turning back. Let's start. The Battle of Armageddon is a biblical term that refers to the final struggle between good and evil, described in the book of Revelation. According to prophecy, it will be an eschatological confrontation in which divine forces will confront the forces of evil along with the deceived nations of the world. The earth is undergoing a gigantic frequency cleansing called Armageddon. However, the Battle of Armageddon is not a physical war, but an internal struggle between truth and illusion, according to chapter 18 of the Revelation of the Alpha and the Omega, entitled The Battle of Armageddon. The text invites every human being to actively participate in a process of spiritual healing, beginning with oneself in order to contribute to the well-being of the earth and the universe as a whole. The Battle of Armageddon is the battle of truth against illusion, and the action to restore stability to the frequencies of the third and fourth dimensions, affected by the Luciferian inability to adequately assume responsibility. This includes taking steps to clear the static residue from all aspects of consciousness affected by the rebellion. It also includes clearing the residue of the rebellion from the remaining 1,000 galaxies in our local universe. It's not a question of who will rule in the end, but how long it will take to clean up the mess following the Luciferian rebellion of cosmic success. The Earth is undergoing a gigantic interdimensional frequency clearing called Armageddon. It also includes clearing the consciousness of all those who have suffered Luciferian contamination to some degree. The most important thing is that everyone involved takes responsibility for clearing his or her own consciousness starting today. For those of us on Earth, the Battle of Armageddon is not about who is going to do something somewhere else, but rather what we will do to clear the knots of Earth. And that begins with clearing our own consciousness starting now. Most of our strongest negative emotions and thoughts toward others are located at the fourth level of the fourth dimension in our consciousness. Transition. The official transition from mass consciousness to full fourth dimensional capacity has already begun, and it will be rapid. The great explosion of collective consciousness occurred during the 1960s. This time, the explosion will focus on an active and full use of consciousness. Our willingness to deal with change positively is already thousands of times greater today than it was in the early 60s. This is likely to improve rather than worsen in the future. What to some appears to be a worsening of the situation is only minor effects that are still fading away. After effects, I mean. It was a mistake. The opportunity to clear the stagnant evolutionary masses of Earth has never been better, nor will it be better anywhere else for another 750,000 years, and then again for a couple of million. Currently, the Earth has not only undergone the transition from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius, but is also at the beginning of a new 25,000-year precession cycle, signaled by a huge Mayan New Year's Eve celebration on the evening of December 20th, 2012. The pole shift will not be drastic. Most of you won't ever notice it, except for external effects such as the confusion among flora and fauna, which is already beginning to occur. Likewise, the Earth has rotated slightly relative to its current position. The northern Eskimos, who depend on a deep understanding of their environment for survival, report that the Sun is now in a new location, that summer days begin earlier, that summer cycles are longer, and that their weather is warming. Healing. Humanity and many other beings in the universe are affected by a contamination stemming from Lucifer's rebellion, and this has caused disharmony in various dimensions and planets. It is a spiritual healing process to correct the effects of an ancient cosmic rebellion that caused imbalances in many dimensions and planets. The rebellion left knots or blockades in the consciousness of beings on Earth and other planets. These knots manifest as negative emotions and destructive thoughts. The cleansing begins when each individual takes responsibility for healing one's own conscience. The central message is that true change does not depend on waiting for an external savior, but on each human being taking responsibility for cleansing and improving their own conscience, leaving behind negative thoughts and emotions. If each person works on himself or herself, the collective consciousness will also improve, and the universe will be able to heal. The text also explains that many current religions and philosophies are trapped in illusions and rules, and that the important thing is to connect with the true spiritual essence and act with love and service, without seeking external recognition or rewards. It also mentions that the Earth is at a crucial moment of change and evolution, and that there is a unique opportunity to advance spiritually and leave all the mistakes behind, but it depends on the action and awakening of each individual. The Earth is one of the planets most affected by this rebellion. Therefore, it is crucial that its inhabitants work on their spiritual development and on eliminating negative thoughts and emotions. This collective effort will help restore balance throughout the universe. By healing our consciousness, we contribute to the clearing of the collective consciousness. This will facilitate the elimination of the effects of the rebellion and allow the universe to move toward a state of greater harmony and love. Unraveling. The collective consciousness will begin to clear once a sufficient number of us begin to purge ourselves of our lower conditions. Once the collective consciousness begins to clear, so will the knots of the fourth sub-octave. Once these knots are cleared, most of the effects of the rebellion will be forever dissipated. The process has already begun and is rapidly accelerating, as our collective consciousness has already successfully passed the crucial frequency peak of December 21st, 2012. Normally, you are an ascending soul atom beginning its evolution as a projection in the fifth dimension. Although your inner and outer consciousness are not completely aligned, there is very little discordant nature between the two. Your outer consciousness expresses itself in alignment with the frequency within you. Your inner self adopts your outer expression as the adopted fruit at the end of each cycle of incarnated learning. The cycle of incarnation repeats itself with increasingly higher frequencies. Your consciousness evolves in ever-expanding circles of Christ consciousness. Finally, once you have completed your training, you will ascend to the 7th dimension to begin putting it into practice. Polarization. Due to our perverse polarization with the planet, there is a blockage at the 25th astral level. The normal flow of energy circulating up and down the matrix of outer consciousness is not fluid. Inner and outer consciousness function as separate wells until the outer consciousness begins to awaken and perceive the presence of its inner consciousness beyond the veil. Your function in three-dimensional expression of the outer world, oblivious to what your reality atom is doing in your higher dimensional expression. However, unless you have fallen, your soul atom always has a direct connection to your 5th or 7th dimensional total soul atom to draw upon. What you do in everyday three-dimensional consciousness often has very little to do what your soul atom self does in reality, until you have awakened enough in your responsibility to begin being consciously invited to participate. This is called the lifting of the veil. Your soul atom of reality never tires of preparing your outer consciousness. This includes guiding you through your feelings or helping you prepare through experiences and lucid dream downloads so that you always do the right thing. Excuse me. Your feelings manifest through your substance. This infallible feeling aspect always implores you to do the right thing. You almost always know what to do when necessary. You almost always know when you didn't do it and when you should have. In the current situation on Earth, it is not usually the easiest option to do the right thing at all times. That's why most of you almost never do the right thing, and then blame others for the consequences. When you are unsure of the right way to do something, put it aside for a moment, keep an eye on it to see what is confirmed later, and be ready to act on it once you are certain. Never if you doubt. Obligations. As your external projection consciousness begins to see more of the light, it is required to perform more and more works, according to what each person can bear, and according to their original dispensation and the responsibilities their atom of reality can transmit to their external consciousness, given the circumstances. No one is better than anyone else, no less than anyone else. Most importantly, it doesn't matter who you are, or where you come from in the higher dimensions, or who you were in a previous incarnation, or whether you are a descending or ascending soul atom. People are external personification of consciousness and exist only from one incarnation to the next. According to Revelation, one of the 12 apostles died as a homeless man at age 33 in Vancouver in August 1971, and the current incarnation of King Melchizedek became addicted to slot machines in the 90s. No one is immune, nor should they be. The only thing that matters is whether you do in your current life what you agreed to do before incarnating. That is, whether you are fulfilling your life mission. An excellent start is to volunteer for humanitarian and charitable work, as long as you do it with love. Don't ask for external recognition and do it without conditions. You are also not required to wear sackcloth or beg for alms. You are only asked to accept the spiritual laws that Christ set in motion 2,000 years ago and put them into practice. Beliefs. The root race of Earth is here to learn about its full Christ reality. Most of today's population is aligned with some religion. Most Asian Adamic spiritual seekers prefer Buddhism, as it is closest to their revolutionary level of light. Many of you are drawn to so-called New Age teachings, as they are closest to your inner inclinations. Others seek instant mysticisms due to a sensitivity to their higher calling that has been lost. The majority of the rest of the population is in tune with variants of Christianity or law-based religions such as Islam, Judaism, etc. Some are interested in Hindustan, a blend of Christianity and planetary law. Muslim mullahs are not spiritual people, they simply memorize the 5,000 rules of Muslim law. The group that founded the scenes also sat as Buddha. Buddha outlined the complete evolutionary path of ascension through the 5th and 7th dimensions as the Noble Eightfold Path. The path ended in Nirvana, which is the 8th-dimensional portal to inner creation for ascending in this super-universe. The original Buddhist teachings quickly eroded into Atlantean concepts due to less responsibility. An easier path to follow. They are still stuck at the 108th frequency, which has direct links to the condition of planetary law left behind after the fall of Atlantis. Christ returned the responsibility of clearing each of your consciousness to your own shoulders through love and service in the right direction. Ask not what Christ can do for you. Ask what you can do for Christ. Those of you who blame God for your problems blame yourselves twice. Second coming. The Messiah has already returned, appearing in a couple of times in the 4th and 5th dimensions for brief periods. I will come like a thief in the night. You will not know the hour or the place, he said. The Messiah is not just for a privileged few. Those of you who are ready and waiting with an open heart to serve with Christ in love and service will be justified in glorification. 2,000 years ago, Jesus Christ showed you who you are, what you are, and where you are going. You will know truth, and truth will set you free. Now is the time to put the one law into practice. There is no time left to not do so. The earth has crossed the threshold. Those who wait will have to do it again and again. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.